All right, I'm Jay. I'm back again for another one, and today I have with me.
Greg Bridges.
What's up,
What's happening,
man?
man?
What's up? What's up?
Oh, not much. Glad to be a part of this, brother. How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. First of all, glad to have you. Second, even though I know that the trailer, I was wondering where the trailer was. I knew it was coming, but not for sure when, because I know it was like they're teasing like it's going to come like for the Super Bowl and things like that. But then also I know Comic Con was coming out, and maybe it's going to do something there. And sometimes they still hold on to stuff, so you really don't know. And I remember I was thinking like, okay, maybe they'll show it. Cause I went to go see Nope, and I was thinking like, were they going to show it at the beginning of this movie, and it didn't happen. So I was thinking like, oh, that's interesting. So but it was on my mind because I saw they had this big billboard thing in the movie theater for Wakanda Forever,
Right.
and no real information, just the black background with the words. And I'm like, man, every time I walk by it, I'm just like, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. And so yesterday evening, just kind of sitting back, and I looked down on YouTube like I usually do, just to kill time. I usually have it going on when I'm watching TV or whatever else or working on something, and I saw it was a trailer. Now I've seen on there before, like the trailer for it, but it'd be fake
Right.
trailers that people made up.
Right.
And I'm so starved to see something that even those that I think don't even sound right, but I was like, maybe it's a possibility that it was released. I didn't know when I click it and I started seeing some clips from the first movie. I'm like, this is fake. I'm like, okay. So when I saw that, I was like, and I saw the thumbnail, I was like, that looks different because it didn't say from Marvel Entertainment or anything like that. It just, it was from somewhere else. But I saw it and I'm like, let me click on it. I think it was in IGN or something like that. And I clicked it and I heard that music and I was like, wait a minute, this is not, this is not the actor I know from another movie that they're clipping in to make it seem like it's a new
Right.
trailer. And yeah, man, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought that you mentioned the Super Bowl and for comics and for the comic world, Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con is kind of like the Super Bowl.
Yes, it is.
So I kind of thought that maybe we would see the trailer at Comic-Con,
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and like you, I had been looking around, anxiously waiting, tapping into some of those links that turned out to be, some fan made trailer or,
Mm,
something that wasn't the official trailer.
yeah.
Um, but man, it's a trip because I don't remember anticipating a trailer this much. I mean, yeah, there's been build up and anticipation for the movie itself,
Right, right.
but just the anticipation for the trailer for this has been
Yeah.
high and heavy. So, you know, it's funny because I was watching the trailer when you sent me the link.
Great minds,
And
man.
I was just blown away. From the opening, the screen is still black and then you got the vocals.
Yeah. Oh,
And it's Bob Marley's No Woman, No Cry.
uh,
And the lyrics of that for these particular scenes are so appropriate, good
yes,
friends we have, who've gone away.
yes,
Um,
yes.
man, I was just, and then I started reading the comments, and I was seeing how the trailer itself was an emotional thing for a lot of people,
Yes,
um,
yes,
seeing visually how there is honor and tribute being made, um, to T'Challa's character, the
yeah,
character of T'Challa, but also to Chadwick Boseman,
yes,
and seeing and feeling that, I could understand the emotion that people were writing about in the comment sections as well.
yeah. It's one of those kind of things. It's almost a trailer I was afraid to see, but I couldn't help but watch it. Like I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't know what my emotion was gonna be. I figured like there's gonna be some sadness or whatnot, and or maybe confusion or trying to figure out what was gonna be the workaround or what was gonna be the plot or whatnot. And just the like you said, when it opened and you see, beautiful black woman, you see the ocean, you see the sky,
Right.
you see a temple, look like a Mayan temple or something like that, and then it goes to another scene where you see, these beautiful black skin and faces dressed in white, and it's some kind of ceremony, and it's just so regal, and you have the gold sand, and it's just like we are beautiful. It took my breath away. I just to see us like that, and it's funny. It's a mixed bag. And so what part of it that kind of took my breath away is just like the way we were presented, the imagery and stuff like that, along with the
Mm-hmm.
music, but the imagery of it and how beautiful we are, and how I was just so happy that there was somebody to shoot that who saw us like that, that made that a visual thing. Um, Not that movies aren't real. I know movies aren't real life, right? But it's an interpretation of life. But it's still it's a it's somebody's vision of it, and
Right.
they got to do with coloring and framing and wardrobe. It's a lot of consideration and things that are being put into that to give you the end result of what you're getting.
Yeah,
And
big
so
up to Ryan Coogler and his whole team for that.
right, and just to see that, and it just like touched me like that is beautiful, and it was just so good to see us beautiful like that. It just like I all those faces that was dancing and stuff like that and walking down and everybody just looked immaculate and it was just beautiful, and it was just like it was just as much stuff we have out now and the representation and all that other kind of stuff. Um, I don't think it's necessarily all at a high level, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's like you've been eating burgers and all these burgers are sitting on the table, and then somebody walks in the middle of the burgers and scoot them out of the way, and just here's a big old steak, right? And it just put perspective in to what the burgers really are, a ground up version of the real thing or the ideal thing. And I'm just like us in the right hands, presented the right way. And the truth is, that's what we are anyway. That's what we are truly, but we don't walk around seeing that. And just like reminding me how starved I was in a way to see presentation of us like that. And I thought about all the other people out there who is just as starved, seeing that same thing, and just like, and we probably never felt like that since the first Black Panther movie. And I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying that that sweeping visual, that sweeping tone that hits everybody at the same time. I can't remember the last time, even though this is a fictional character, that somebody just kind of saw that kind of thing. This is the same kind of stuff that people see when they saw, like, Obama being, sworn in as a president. It's just like a thing, just a big, bell that got tolled, and people just kind of, at the same time, just gave acknowledgement to something that was profound, right? And it's like I said, and it's just a trailer for a fake, a trailer for a made up character,
A
but
fictional
still,
character.
it doesn't take away the feeling, the insight, and the inspiration of what it gives, regardless of it being somebody's imagination, somebody's idea, something a fictitious character. It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't matter. It's just what it gives you, and it
Right.
gives you that kind of
Representation.
gives you that thing on that level. It was just beautiful, and I just like we one, I'm glad that it did that. Two, we got to do better and have more things that make us feel like that on a normal basis, so people will walk around with their chest up, not just when something like this presents us as such. But we should. I wish for things to be more common, where that feeling we got when we saw that, or the feeling I got when I saw that, to be with me all the time. Because it's kind of hard to walk with that on a normal basis when you have so many other things on your shoulders laying you down, like get down. And so the thing that's going to lift you up is not
Yeah, and
the
that's
rate. The ratio of that is not balanced at all.
well, I think that's a part of the thing that we have to look at. It's is what's happening in life around us. Because um, this is a fictional character and a fictional world, but in this fictional character and with that fictional world, it has built up a level of, you know, of a level of pride with folks, a level of high expression. It's a trip when you have to turn to fiction in order to feel good
Right.
about, you know. So I think that says a lot about how we have to deal with what's happening, in this world that we're dealing with around us,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It really did
but
touch me. Yeah.
yeah, man, there was so much in that trailer though that I'm looking forward to seeing in the movie. As the song was playing,
Mhm.
you know, no woman, no cry, and then it goes into, you know, everything's gonna be all right.
Yes.
And then that combines with Kendrick Lamar's "It's Gonna Be All
Yes.
Right."
Yes.
You know that we're hearing that sound, but at the same time, the visuals that we're seeing in the trailer while that's happening,
Yeah.
the mourning and the passing of a king of a nation
Yeah.
to the birth of a prince of a new nation, that we're
Yeah.
seeing happening underwater.
Yeah.
I just thought the way that was edited, the way that it was all put together was brilliant.
Yeah, man. This was masterfully done. It was like cuz even speaking to that the part where it shows Queen Mother and she's like saying I'm over the most powerful um
Most powerful nation.
nation. And she gave everything. Like I get like my family. I gave everything. You know, a black mother who gave everything. It's almost like, what more do you want from me? Like, what more do you
Right.
expect? It's just like just a sacrifice of Queen Mother. I thought that was so powerful because she's a strong, a strong character, strong woman, and for her to just the way she kind of belted that out, almost as if, and I don't know what the context is exactly of what I'm assuming. Her husband's gone now, her son is gone, but then just the fact that if
and her newfound nephew is gone.
yes, yes, yes,
You know,
and then for her to be speaking in that tone, um, it had to be something where something is pushing back, and something is probably being asked more of her after she done given. If you get to
right?
the point where you gotta scream and tell somebody, "Hey,
Back
I
off.
gave you, yeah, back off. I've given you all I can give. I I I, I gave you everything, and you still want more." I just thought that was just so powerful. Yeah. We get a couple introductions, which I thought, or we go down the line of the finish going down the line of the trailer. So
Oh man, it's it's going to be hard to stay on the line. There
that's
was
okay.
so much, and so much you want to talk about.
So
We did get a couple of introductions. I was, um, you and I have been talking about this over the past couple of years. The uh, the Ironheart comics,
yes,
Riri Williams, and seeing her character there in a couple of scenes. But man, excuse me,
mm-hmm.
one scene. Um, and I'm thinking of, well, everybody's going to see the trailer, so I'm not
Yeah,
giving anything away by the trailer.
right, right,
But there's this scene in there, Riri Williams, who is Ironheart, with the
yeah,
new Iron Man inspired suit, seeing her in this cave like atmosphere, working on building her suit,
yeah,
bringing flashbacks of the original, the first Iron Man movie, Tony Williams Tony Stark in a cave,
mm-hmm.
working on that first Iron Man suit. Um, I am looking forward to seeing this character.
Yeah, yeah. That was definitely powerful, especially with her meeting up with Shiri, and it's almost the same greeting that Shiri gave T'Challa in the first movie, where they
Right,
kind of
right.
gave each other dates when they saw each other. I thought that was just kind of powerful, just that moment. And even though it was like a shot that you kind of seen before, it had different context and different meaning, and I love what that means today. It's almost like passing it along, um, like legacy in a
Yeah.
way. And
When seeing them dap each other up that way, you knew there was a sense of familiarity. They've
yeah,
been familiar with each other to some degree.
yeah,
We don't know where yet, but
yeah, yeah. And then after that, they kind of did another introduction of Namor the Submariner, and it shows him as a child, and then shows him as a man. Um, what did you think of that? That introduction of him.
man.
I know you're a comic book head, so you know that goes back. The
Yeah,
Submariner.
yeah, that does go back. But I mean, even in the movies, it goes back because I was, you know, in what was that? In Avengers Endgame,
Mm-hmm.
when Okoye, when they're all reporting to Black Widow,
Mm-hmm.
virtual reporting to Black Widow about what's going on around the world, and Okoye mentions, a rumbling under the sea.
Yeah.
Um, but she kind of like just kind of shrugs it off like, hey, it's just a rum. Sometimes a rumbling under the sea is just a rumbling under the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And since that line, on the message boards and other places, people have been there's been speculation that that may be a sign that Namor is going to show up
Yeah.
somewhere soon within the Marvel universe. So
Yeah.
it was good to see. And like I said, the way that it was done visually in this trailer, with the song and then seeing the birth and then seeing, that become, the prince or Lord Namor.
Yeah.
Um, I just, and I'm anticipating and anxious to see this movie,
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
especially knowing that story from the comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
That relationship and how it, you would hope that it would have been that it would have been a cool relationship, but it really didn't start out that way between, Wakanda and Atlantis.
Yeah. He's one of the first like kind of like anti-hero type characters that was kind of going against all of our heroes, and he wasn't necessarily wrong. And what's interesting is the way they're doing Aquaman now is kind of how Namor was back in the day, where he was almost kind of fighting for his people and and fighting against how the ocean's being treated and things like that.
Right.
Um, and speaking of when you was talking about when they were mentioning um, like the ships under the water, something that came up with that before, and I'm trying to remember if it was with Age of Ultron maybe when Tony got kind of kicked off the team and he's going behind the scenes with Shield, and you could see like the screens, and they had like Wakanda on there, and they had like the ocean, and they had
Mm.
these shifts and the plates and stuff, and it was just kind of funny because before even either one of them were introduced, they were kind of like little teasers on the screen talking about there's
Right.
disturbances and earthquakes underwater here, and so Marvel is so good at these little Easter eggs that I don't even know if they know they're gonna be able to bring them to fruition in the future, but they just kind of put them in there, and I just love that people who love this kind of stuff are the ones working on it, because then you put things in there that could be something bigger, or even if it wasn't, you know, that's fine. But if it does, it's just like you can always look back and be like, hey, yeah, that was mentioned or that was brought up. So it's never this feeling of where did this come from?
Right.
You just kind of got to know what's in the sauce. So, but yeah, so that was very powerful. And it seemed like they're going a different direction with him. They're almost making him seem like he's Mayan or Aztec or something like that um, with Namor. So that'll be interesting. Um, Yeah, it was good to see him, and I even noticed that he had the little wing things on his
Right. The wing
ankles,
on his ankles. Yeah.
which is kind of it's you never know how somebody gonna try to do something because some stuff be so fanciful, but you're so used to seeing it in a comic or the animation or stuff that it just seems normal. You don't think nothing about it, but as soon as you slap it on something real, it's just like wait, wait, wait. Do we still need the cape, or do we still need the bright colors, or we still you know need the wings? And I like that they just went forward and been like, he has wings on his ankles,
Yeah.
and that
So I
was a
think a part of
bold.
that is also, is like you mentioned, who's telling the story.
Yeah,
And Ryan Coogler and his team have proven to be very man, just very in depth. You know, they don't seem to miss a beat, and
Yeah,
I figured that it was going to be a good looking film. Um, his team is really detailed.
yeah,
They look at the details and they bring those things out, and they bring them out in subtle ways so that it's not like um wow, he's got wings on his feet.
right, right, right.
It's like, wow, this character's always had this, and now we get to see what it looks like, in life form.
And in truth, most things for real are you are what you present yourself to be. It's not, even though the world is different, but it's very interesting how, for the most part, you are who you are, and people either accept it or not accept it. It's all this pre-compromising yourself before you even get a chance to even show the world what you are. So when you see people that are bold and that's just who they are and that's the way they rock, that's powerful. Because if you had to compromise, nothing would be different, and all the different stuff that would be special would be hidden. So it's almost the right thing to do would be like if he got wings, like you said, he got wings on his ankles, and that's what he is, and you just either accept it or don't. But why
Right.
should we compromise something who has history and has been there because a few people might think it looks off? Like, no, this is his first introduction, and we're gonna make him look right. Because I've seen plenty of times where it's been heroes that we saw in comic books, and as soon as they put them on live or movies or TV shows, they compromise their costumes because it doesn't make sense. It didn't have to make sense. This is what we know. So yes, Wonder Woman shouldn't be out there fighting against all these demons and warriors and army men and stuff in skirts. But that's what people are used to seeing. That's what they know her for. You know, Maybe superheroes shouldn't run around with capes because the capes could get like Incredible said, stuck in a
Right. Get caught in the wind.
stuck, yes,
Caught in the propellers.
yes, and getting messed up. So maybe logically it doesn't make. But so what? It is what it is. It has more proof working like that than not working like that. And so, it's just nice when you got like-minded people that just kind of push it through and be like, you know what? That's what it is, and that's what it's gonna be. Um, then also in the trailer we see like the conflict between Namor and his people against Wakanda, and that was interesting to see. Especially the throne room and all that other kind of stuff. And then you see just this look like it's gonna be this epic battle, which that looks crazy. Looks crazy.
Yeah, it does. Man. So there are some things that I've been seeing online in regards to this,
Okay.
um, and why their dislike for each other, how that began. Um, but these are things you're gonna have to go to the movie to see. you know, or
You have me. I'm over here. I got quiet too, leaning into the microphone like, huh? Because
well, it's just that so there are other characters in the movie that have things to do with what's going on.
yeah,
Um, that don't show up in the trailer. So
right,
since we're talking specifically about the trailer, I'm gonna
yeah.
keep it at that.
You're so professional. You're so. But yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, yeah. But it is going to be. It looks to be a great movie that's coming, and the stories of the comics that is based on,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Prince. Let's see, T'Challa and Namor's conflicts in the comics are
Mm-hmm.
things that people should look to get some kind of insight and understanding
Yeah.
about what's happening here.
When also I think is a good to note as well is um, that a lot of stuff be inspired by the comics and different resources, but sometimes they had a little take on it and a little twist on it too, which I think is kind of
Right,
cool.
right.
Well, it's kind of familiar, but then also it's not like you're reading the same book again. It's kind of like, okay, so this is an interpretation, but maybe the theme, overall theme
But
or
it's not the
feeling of it.
carbon copy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of fanboys it could be an issue sometimes. It's like, well, that's not how it is in the comics, but then also it's kind of like, well, Do you want to go into something that you already know the answers to? Sometimes it's nice to celebrate something that, especially if it's a good interpretation, if it's a good
Right.
alternative interpretation,
Yeah.
because sometimes you don't have the same pieces that you have that's available in the comic book. You don't have all the characters, so sometimes you have to move things around and introduce things different places and different characters to kind of get the same feeling and results. And so, but yeah, but it was good to see that battle scene, which looks very interesting. We got the blue people and the normal looking people, and you got Adore Milaje, and they always so powerful and regal, and they you see them just jumping off the side of something, and they just man, I can't wait to see what they gonna do. I always enjoy them, but just man, what and the music, and then you got Kendrick Lamar and the part like it's gonna be all right, and I'm sitting there choking up and tearing up, and I text you, and I was like, dude, so what you think? I was like, I'm over here tearing up, dude. You be like, it's gonna be all right. I'm like, yeah, Kendrick was talking to me. He telling me in the audience that it's gonna be all right, and that's how
It's
I
gonna be
felt.
all right.
That's what I felt like. He was like, before you get choked up, start crying and feeling all a different way about stuff. It's gonna be all right, and it's just like
Yeah.
he's like holding your hand through that trailer, like it's gonna be all right. Cause and
And some people right now need that reassurance
yes,
because everybody is wondering, well, what's the state of Wakanda going to be like without T'Challa?
yeah,
Who's the Black Panther now without T'Challa?
yeah, yeah,
And Kendrick, is just saying,
yeah,
whoever's coming next, you're in
yeah.
good hands.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you said that to me. I cracked up because you were right. You didn't miss a beat. That was such a quick response. I had to laugh. You snapped me out of my my moment of just kind of like because like I said, it was just so heavy, and it was so powerful because really you think about it and you think of that song and when Bob Marley says everything's gonna be all right, like certain people are just known for words and sayings and different things,
Hmm.
and it's just like nobody says it better than them. They just say it in the perfect way, and everybody knows that song. And then to have somebody like Kendrick Lamar that is of today and had the same powerful representation of that phrase used now, and they laid that on top. Like I don't understand how that never was a thing before this trailer. So kudos to whoever put that together, because you know it combines the the generations. It
Right.
combines time. It even how it was used and how even we needed things to be all right back then with Bob Marley. We still need the things to be all right and hear that today. And so even that language that they put together, um, just on so many levels, man, it don't make no sense that this is just a trailer and it's just all this stuff. It's gonna be
It's a trip.
what?
And it was just a 2-minute trailer. And
Yes.
there's so much packed into that. What I dug was that I mean another aspect of this trailer that I really dug was that it wasn't until the end of the trailer that you saw, you know, somebody as a
Yeah.
Black Panther. you know,
Yeah.
um, you saw the claws whip out, you saw the arm, the shoulder, the costume. So that was another sign that it's going to be all right.
Yeah. Um, and that brings up something we could touch on a little bit. Um, I know it's been a debate for a while, ever since Chadwick passed away, and people's opinion on what should be done with the character. Like should the character leave with him and then just pass it on as a mantle, or should the actual character T'Challa pass like the actor passed and then just have and just find somebody new, or just to replace that actual character and keep the character T'Challa alive,
Right.
and then have somebody fill the shoes. um, it seemed like they made
Yeah.
their decision on it, what's gonna how they're gonna proceed with it. Did you have feelings on that whole thing as far as like replacing the character to somebody else to continue on with being that character T'Challa, or are
I
you
felt
fine with them just letting that character pass with the actor and then finding a new?
I was and am completely fine with the decision that they've made because I feel like Chadwick Boseman was T'Challa. You know, that was
Yeah.
the character. He embodied that character. Um, before before the Black Panther movie, you know, and Civil War, he was T'Challa. If they had come up with another character after Civil War, you know, it would have been a mess. Like, you know, this cat, he solidified that role at that moment.
Yes. Yes.
So um, even though, you know, in movies and in fiction and in fantasy, we have seen characters get replaced um, with varying degrees of success.
Right.
I just don't think that this public, you know, this generation that came to know Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa would have been satisfied with somebody else playing him.
Yeah.
You know, there are some. I mean, I've read some comments here and there where there are some people who, you know, state that the characters should have been kept going and you know you should have gotten it, but I don't even think that they would have been satisfied seeing another person, you know, trying to bring what Chadwick brought to the role. Now, in
Yeah.
terms of the character of the Black Panther, you know, we know in the comics that's a mantle that gets passed along.
Yeah.
So so I wasn't disappointed. You know, I was glad that they kept the Panther, but you know, as far as Prince King T'Challa, you know, as far as King T'Challa, they made the I feel like they made the right decision in not having his role replaced at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I think some of that stuff where people were kind of talking about recast the character, I think a lot of them may have been just more concerned with their personal appetite, more so than what it meant for everybody. You know. Um, yeah. 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 I think it just kind of shows respect. And the thing about it, like you said, Chadwick playing that character, that combination, you know, um, that just shows how much he embodied that character and what it meant to everybody for it to feel like you just, you know, because if it was about the character, everybody would just move on and be no big deal. It'd be like, yeah, whatever, put somebody in the suit, you know. But it was just kind of like, no, wait. You know, he is him, and you know, Chadwick is T'Challa. T'Challa is Chadwick, and for it to be that tightly connected, where you just can't pull at that string, I think is it just solidifies, you know, what he meant, you know. And it's kind of interesting because even though it probably wasn't from the movie, when I saw that image that it was on in the trailer, it was a mural of T'Challa. I think that was like a picture from that was based off of was based off a picture of just Chadwick,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so to me, it was just kind of like wow, like like you know, I just took it as that was, you know, for him. Like when I saw that
Right.
picture, I saw Chadwick, you know, and if it was a different image that was used from something else or a different posture or a different look on his face, I'll say okay, that's T'Challa. But that image, it's like I don't know if that was like him on a red carpet or something, but to me that image reminded me of more of the actor Chadwick Boseman than it did the character T'Challa, that's why it hit me a certain way when I saw that, and yeah, I know this had to have been a crazy thing for Ryan Coogler to pull together because he's even saying he already had a script that he was already working on that he was
Right.
excited that he wanted to do, and so for him to have to dump that and work around and pull it together in a different way and reform it, and then also you're introducing a new character, a beloved character, in a new world, and then to have a conflict on top of that, you know, in the background. That's just so much to juggle. People can't even get past, you know, two guys sitting in a room, you know, sharing a soda and make it interesting and hold it together. So to have all these different worlds and different characters and the loss of a character and a family regrouping and a people coming together and all this other kind of stuff, blah blah blah, stick Marvel on it and all the rest of that stuff and pull that off. But I believe he can. But that is a lot and so much to ask for from one person to have to take care of. And it's not even like a movie where you had a little footage already of somebody and then you kind of paste it together to whatever. It's not like he passed away during the filming of. He never set foot on that set,
Right.
and the movie is his namesake. It's amazing, and if this trailer is any indication of what we're gonna get in that theater, man, I oof, oof,
Yeah, there's a
I
lot to look forward to, man.
yeah, yeah, I just can't wait. It'll be here in November, so yeah, yeah, we're gonna have to work that out. But I can't wait. I can't I can't wait for that conversation. Um, After that, I can't wait for that conversation we probably have during it.
Right,
But
right.
more likely, I'm gonna try to work it out when we can all see it together. So it'll probably be a lot of looking over and tapping and like, did you see that? But yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait. And yeah, man, yeah. So, do you have
Yeah.
any other words you would like to say about this?
No, just that there is a lot to be excited about and look forward to. As we mentioned, the transition, the honoring of T'Challa and the honoring of Chadwick Boseman. Um, looking to see how Zuri has changed and grown and expanded in her role as now she's the last royal child.
Yeah,
She's in the comics, her story to a bit, she becomes the Black Panther, but in this, it's still a question mark of who's going to be the Panther. um, the introduction of Riri Williams, the introduction of Namor and the world of Atlantis. There's a lot to look forward to with this. So yeah, that's I don't know what Mark could say. I'm looking forward to the next trailer, because there will be another trailer or two between now and November. So I'm looking forward to that you know, um, to see more visuals and how much more of the story um, is revealed through the trailers, if there's any more of the story itself revealed.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I'm just looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to another visual experience from Ryan Coogler, man.
yes, man. I can't wait, and I'm so proud. He's Bay Area own, Oakland's own.
Right. We
I
can we
love
can
it.
claim him.
Yeah, yeah. I love his humility and also his art, his work. It shows. It shows
Yeah.
that artists can't really hide themselves. We try. It's very interesting, but those who know. And even though his movie choices, in the beginning you would have thought like that's interesting or that's different or whatever, he always added something extra that nobody else could really give. He gives a different kind of underlining perspective that shines in a different kind of way. Because we've
Yeah.
seen people make successful. We see the Russo brothers make, great Marvel movies that I love and stuff. But Ryan is special in the way that he actually um, he leaves his mark on things and a perspective on things that is the foundation, which gives the whole project a whole different thing. Like I said, he made a movie about you know Apollo Creed's son into this brilliant reinterpretation of Rocky. I remember seeing that on IMDb and thinking like it was a joke, like Apollo's son. You know what?
Right.
It
Right.
sounded like a joke. It sounded like a bad joke, and he proved me wrong, and he was just brilliant. And so it's just neat to see people, um, real representation in ways, and it being presented in a way, and being appreciated. It's so important, and so I'm looking forward to this one, like you said, as well.
Yeah.
And but yeah, man,
Right. He seems. I was just going to say, he seems to. he seems to present his work with a very personal attachment to it, you know,
Yes.
like there's it's some directors, some storytellers, you know, I mean, you appreciate their work, um, but it doesn't feel like it's anything personal to them. You know, it just feels like they're doing the job, and they may do a good job, but it doesn't
Right.
feel like a personal thing. You know, with Ryan Coogler from, you know, from Fruitvale Station,
Right.
you know, on up to this coming movie, you know, Wakanda Forever, there there feels like a very personal part of him, you know, in and on the movie, which makes it feel more personal to us who are watching it, you know, and just I really appreciate that, you know, as a viewer, you know, you want to feel like to some degree like you're a part of it or that it means more to you than just sitting and watching, you know.
Yeah.
And he's able to convey that to the viewer, so that's really appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, only a person like you, well, we could just sit and talk about a 2 minute trailer and turn into, you know, a long, thought out, insightful conversation. That I appreciate you truly. I,
Right on, man.
I truly
Same here,
appreciate
brother.
you.
Same here, man.
Hey man, so for the folks out there, can you tell us your social media or where we can find you?
Ah, the trackers. Okay, so I can be tracked to Instagram. um at G1 Rhythm. That's the letter G, the number one, RHYTHM, which is the same for me at Twitter. And you know, if you're into good music, you can check me out on KPFA Monday nights from 8 to 10. It's a show, and that's Pacific time. It's a show called Transitions on Traditions,
Right.
that features a soulful bit of everything, you know. And I don't mean that to be vague or anything, but there's just so much good music to me, and it all there's a connection for it all, and there's so much good music and stuff about Black people to me that there's a connection to it all. So it's just a soulful mix of everything. And then you can catch me Thursday nights on KCSM. Well, let me tell you, KPFA is at 94.1 FM. You can listen online at kpfa.org. And you can catch me, as I said, Thursday nights from 6 p.m. to midnight Pacific time on KCSM, and that's 91.1 FM here in the Bay Area, and kcsm.org.
All right.
Track me down.
All right. And also Greg got other projects coming up and we'll let you know when they come about. Also, you check out his Instagram. So this dude hosts and do different things like that. But he also a great photographer. So he you want to see some great behind the scenes shots and stuff of different musicians and acts and stuff like that. It's definitely great to check out. And like his show. And like the song with Bob Marley and the connection with the Kendrick Lamar and how they're kind of connected. That's the kind of stuff that Greg does on his show. We're connecting like the jazz and hip hop and things like that, and just showing because sometimes we take for granted how things are connected, and sometimes we don't see it because it's just like that time or it wasn't pointed out to you. You know, back in the day we saw that kind of stuff more often because somebody would remix or use songs from songs we grew up with, so we knew that that sample came from this song. And since sampling issues and things like that, it's been more original music or different interpretations of music, so that connection is it's not as easy to find out. And so with Greg's show, he kind of walks you through that and show you the connections you may not have seen. So yeah, so definitely check that out. All right. So with that being said, this has been Jay, and I've been here with Greg.
Right on, Jay.
Talking about the Wakanda Forever, well, Black Panther Wakanda Forever trailer. Movie's out in November. Man, until next time, peace.
Peace.